Welcome to the Ocean Community 50 Under 50 series, presented by the Ocean Community Chamber of Commerce. The road to success starts at Valenti family of auto dealerships, and visibility along the journey increases greatly with the help of 321 Media. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Ocean Community Chamber of Commerce's 50 Under 50 series, presented by Valenti family of dealerships and 321 Media. My name is Ben Barber from 321 Media, and I'm very excited because today's honoree is someone that I've never met before today. However, I do know her family. I used to be on the bus with her cousins, and I am very good friends with her sister-in-law, or at least I was growing up, and so on and so forth. And as soon as she walked in the door, I was like, I don't know you, but I know your family. Jen Ansay. Jen, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. And how are you this morning?
No one ever asks that back.
Oh.
I'm kidding. Sometimes people do, but thank you. I'm doing well. So now it's the uncomfortable part where I read your bio to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to sit there and take how awesome you are. Hope that's okay.
I'm feeling I don't have a choice. So.
Jen Ansay leads with curiosity, courage, and compassion as vice president and branch manager at the Washington Trust Company. She brings more than a decade of banking experience shaped by a passion for people and purpose. Known for her authenticity and strategic mindset, Jan has launched company-wide initiatives, including personalized bank-anniversary celebrations. Oh my God, that's fun. And ongoing retail roundtable series to foster recognition and communication across all levels. Jen's leadership extends far beyond the workplace. She serves as treasurer for Opening Doors for Westerly's Children, sits on the Domestic Violence Resource Center's fundraising committee, and chairs Washington Trust's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council, where she works to ensure all employees feel seen, heard, and valued. Drawing from her own lived experiences, Jen creates environments where both customers and employees feel supported, empowered, and understood. She uses her voice to challenge the status quo, break down stigmas, and build people up. A lifelong learner and advocate for mental health, Jen believes that small acts of service like coaching youth sports, officiating weddings, or donating blood build stronger communities. She has a deep love for family. While her and her wife, Andrea, don't have children of their own, Jen plays an active and joyful role in the lives of her nieces and nephews. She lives in Richmond, Rhode Island, and is proof that vulnerability is strength, failure is not fatal, and asking why not can change everything. Oh, love that. That is awesome. Jen, welcome to 50 Under 50. Congratulations. So well deserved. You also are, I have more information on you than just that bio. You also have been a volunteer for the duck race for a really long time. Let's talk about all of it. First of all, let's just start with Washington Trust. How did you get involved? Now you're a branch manager, vice president, all of that stuff. How did you get involved with Washington Trust?
That's a really fun story and one that I love to share with new bankers that come in. So I actually got started with the bank through a volunteer event. My aunt's the executive director of the Charlestown Chamber of Commerce. So I have been a volunteer at the Charlestown Seafood Festival for 20 years. I think I was 13 when they first put me with a cash drawer, which seems scary now because I don't think I would put a 13-year-old there, but
I might put you if you were a 13-year-old there.
Apparently, someone saw something.
Yeah.
So a couple summers in a row, a branch manager who's still with us now at the bank just saw the way that I was interacting with not customers, but, patrons of the event. And she was like, you should be a summer teller. You should be a summer teller. And I had decided I was going to leave school. And while I'd applied one summer, I still hold this over them. I never got an interview to be a summer teller. So at the end of that summer, that same manager was there and she said, you weren't a summer teller. And I said, I know, I didn't get an interview. I said, but I'm actually not going back to school. So I kind of need something to do. And she was like, put your resume in at the bank and I'll make sure that you get an interview this time. And the rest from there is kind of history. I started as a flex banker, and along my path, there's a common theme of people seeing my potential and really providing me with opportunities. And in another wild event, I went from flex banker to branch manager almost overnight. And now I've been a manager for 10 years and climbed that officer ladder.
So were you 23 when you became a branch manager?
I was 23.
Okay.
Yeah, we can both agree that's crazy. Because I still feel like a child.
Can I be honest with you? I think that making a 23-year-old a branch manager of a bank is crazier than giving a 13-year-old a cash box at a seafood festival.
That's probably pretty fair. Yeah.
However, I think the same person that you trust as a 13-year-old to take the cash at a seafood festival is the same person you would give to be a branch manager at 23 and now a vice president by 33. So,
yeah. And when you think of it like that, sometimes when I put myself back in those 23-year-old shoes, and the person that gave me that opportunity is still my boss today, and I say, geez, you were crazy, because I don't know. But I mean, it worked out.
I mean, yeah. So what were they crazy? Because it worked out.
It did work out. And I think when I think back to that time, I honestly think it was the best thing for me, because it's made me the leader I am today. I never had time to covet or seek out management in a way that was self-serving or I don't really mean greedy, but like I never had a chance to want it for the wrong reasons. I was put there to serve my team, and the only thing I really knew well was the job and helping to make sure my team was able to do their job. And that's what gave me the foundation that 10 years later led me to vice president. So
that's incredible. So along the way, for all of that, you've decided to volunteer for many, many things. So let's take those one by one and ask you how that stuff has worked for you. Being the treasurer, I mean, treasurer makes sense for a position for you. For opening doors for Westerly's Children. What is that organization? I've never heard of it.
So we're a 501c3 that serves Westerly's underserved population, where we provide 3 books every year to children who meet a certain demographic. They're on free or reduced lunch. A lot of fundraising events. We sponsor field trips, different activities of that sort. We kind of took more of a backseat role during 2020 when schools shut down. You weren't able to go in anymore. We used to do it more as like a book fair style, where kids could come in and pick out their books. We also supply them with books for summer reading, partner with the Johnny Cake Center. Now they partner with United Way to do the back to school drive. So we're a silent supporter there as well.
How did you get involved with opening doors?
So I had a coworker who was originally part of the board, and they were relocating to a branch much further up north. So the position was going to be vacated. So I believe that was all the way back in 2017 now. So 8 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
It's been a long time.
So it was something through Washington Trust, or just happened to be?
It was through Washington Trust.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice. That's awesome. And then also through Washington Trust, you chair their committee for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council. We don't need to get into the politics of that right now, but that's obviously a very important thing to work to make all employees for Washington Trust feel seen and heard and valued. Like, that is huge. And Washington Trust is a big company with lots of diversity and lots of people that work for them and all over. So how did that come to be for you?
So our councils, we started with interviews 3 years ago, and it was just a general informational, trying to see if it would be a good fit. And when the council was born, of the original 15 or so members, we call ourselves the OC, or Original Council. Now, I had started as just a member. And I say just a member, but it really was like a job within a job. So until was a council member until January 1st of this year. Came in as chair, and as you alluded to, that became a very complicated position to hold just a few weeks after that. So again, seeing my potential and just working on projects, getting the opportunity to meet people throughout the whole bank, not just in the retail sphere. It's an incredible experience.
The retail sphere of the bank is something that I never thought. So it's considered, so like when people come in to bank at a branch, that would be considered the retail sphere of the bank, or am I wrong?
Yeah, retail banking.
Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like like retail stores having accounts with the bank. Like I'm in a lot of ways I'm an idiot. I just know how to hold a microphone. No,
it's a great question. A lot of people see banking only through their own lens of what they do when they walk into a branch. And I've had the pleasure of learning since I was 20 years old that it's much more complicated than that. And there are so many different sectors to the bank and things that people need help with. It's a very complicated position.
It seems very complicated. We'll get back to more banking stuff in a bit, but I also want to talk about sitting on the committee for the for fundraising for the Domestic Violence Resource Center, which is obviously a huge important nonprofit here in Rhode Island. You don't have to get into anything that you don't want to get into, but how did that come to be?
So I was asked to join that board again through Washington Trust when I had transitioned from our Mystic location to our Wakefield location. So for the past 3 years, I've been on that committee. We actually met yesterday. We have our annual gala coming up on May 31st at the Dunes Club. Still tickets available. That's a little plug. But it was something that my boss's boss had asked me to be a part of. She had been chairing the committee for 10 plus years at that point. And obviously, who can say that that's not something they care about? But it actually became a passion project for mine after a tragic incident locally that happened last year. So now I do it with a new purpose and drive.
That's really special. You've gotten a lot of opportunities to do good in the community through Washington Trust. That is, people say, you just said, like, people view banking through the lens of whatever they experience banking. The last thing that I would not that I don't think that, Washington Trust and other banks are doing good in their communities, but like, going, hey, we need you to be a fundraising chair for the Domestic Violence Resource Center is not something that I would think that you would do through a bank. And I think that that's incredible. So have these initiatives always been in place? Are they new? Are they like, you're doing a lot of good for communities and specific nonprofits through the bank? It's very interesting to me.
Yeah. And to that point, it's encouraged by the bank. We have a volunteer program called Reach for the Stars where it recognizes and rewards things that you're already doing or encourages you to expand on additional opportunities that may be out there. But all of my peers, especially at the management level, are involved in some level of board service. And to that point, it's about the community. And we've had this program for, I think it's 25 years. I don't want to quote it that it's 25 years this year, but it's been a very long time and it's a robust program.
Wow. That's incredible. How did you get involved with the duck race in the chamber?
Oh, I don't know how that started originally. I think I saw that we were no longer, so we use this online system to record volunteer opportunities where anybody can sign up to participate. And I believe it was after COVID had happened, whoever we call them star captains, whoever was leading the event was no longer putting it out there. And I think that's what led me to reach out to the chamber. Des might have a different story for you. And I just said, what can we do to be involved? I want to go back at it and see what we can bring to the table. And as community and volunteer projects often do, they just grow. And I don't know if that's me or if everyone has that experience, but once you kind of put your foot in the door, people make room for you and it just brings it to a new life. So I believe this was my 4th year chairing the event from the bank's perspective.
Right. And how was the event? I mean, I know that it poured in the morning and it was still a little rainy when the actual event happened, but it is rain or shine. It's a legal lottery. It has to be rain or shine. And what was it like this year versus a sunny year? Like, what's the difference on your perspective on that?
I like that when the weather isn't as favorable, you see more diehard fans. So you have people that are really passionate and excited. It's not something that people just happen upon like you do on a sunny day, like, oh, let's see what's going on. You have people that are intentionally there. And I think that brings a different level of excitement and energy. I was able to sell ducks in the pouring rain. But then afterwards, like you said, I like to say it kind of stopped raining for that hour and a half or so while the main portion took place. We were able to dry some ducks. A lot of others had to go away for another day. But yeah, the energy is exciting. It's a staple at this point.
What's your favorite part about the duck race?
Ooh, my favorite part, watching the ducks drop. I don't think that'll ever get old to me. The 20,000 ducks is a massive number of ducks. And if you don't believe me, you should volunteer to help dry them because you will quickly see 20,000 is a huge number.
And you're drying them all by hand with towels?
Oh, by hand. Yes.
Wow.
One at a time. With a big group of people. The Boy Scouts often help then too.
Right. No, I was under the assumption it was just you. For 20,000 ducks. But how many ducks would you say you dry on a?
It feels like, 1,000 maybe. I think we're faster than the Boy Scouts. They have a little bit of fun, toss them at each other, or seeing who can be buried under the most ducks.
Yeah,
I'd say probably
absolutely.
About 1,000.
I was a Boy Scout. We never.
Yeah,
we helped. Wink. No, I'm kidding. The Boy Scouts are incredibly helpful, but you do have fun with it, and everybody has fun with it, right? Like you wouldn't come back and back and back if it wasn't fun to do these events. Do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite nonprofit that you're involved with and whatever? But do you like? Is there anything specifically that you're involved with that you're like, that I look forward to that specific thing every year? Like, or is it just sort of they all touch different parts of your heart?
Well, I would have to say, I don't know if this is allowed because it's the Charlestown Chamber.
That's fine. That's fine.
The Seafood Festival has just been, like I said, at least 20 plus years at this point. And I play a key role in getting the bank volunteers now to run the admissions booth. It brought me to where I am today. If it weren't for the Seafood Festival, I don't know that I ever would have happened upon banking in the first place.
Well, thank God for the Seafood Festival. You have been a lifelong learner and advocate for mental health. How does that, like, just in general? I mean, like, thankfully you are, because mental health is so important. But what made that a cornerstone for you? So,
if we're going back to very early days, I think you can imagine I was a driven child and a driven teenager and very over-involved. And at one point, I decided I was going to study medicine. I wanted to follow in my aunt's footsteps and be a neurosurgeon, which is a very aggressive career path. And at one point in college, I had realized I was doing it for the wrong reasons. And when you set yourself on an identity like that too early on, and everyone then, your family's proud of you, and they say that, like, oh, Jenny's going to be a doctor, she's going to go to med school. And when you start to doubt that yourself, my mental health really struggled. And ultimately it came to a critical point where it was the wake-up call that if I didn't figure out what I really wanted and took time to dive into that I wasn't going to be here anymore. So that was when I finally said enough, and I withdrew from school. Always said I was going to go back. And honestly, I love to call myself a college dropout now because I'm so proud of the success that I found despite that setback or that, quote unquote failure that might be perceived. And it's allowed me the ability to recognize it now in other people, to see burnout, to understand what life is really about, and finding different ways to define passion and drive, because it's not just a career title. I actually find so much neuroscience and psychology inside what people do and why they do it through leading a team and working with the public. So that is still a passion of mine, and I've just found a different way to live it.
I want to give you a standing ovation after that. That's fantastic. And also, I think I'm going to embrace the term college dropout now for myself. So thank you.
Are
You've
you a fellow
inspired me.
college dropout?
I am a fellow college dropout.
Yeah, congrats.
Hold on. No. I'm going to ask your permission to call myself a college dropout. Is it technically being a college dropout if the college that you went to was a conservatory and not technically a college? Like, I wouldn't have gotten a degree. I would have it was $60,000 a year just for a certificate that says you attended. Yeah. So it was acting school.
Mine was technically a university, so yeah. I think we can own it.
All right, we're college dropouts.
Yeah.
High five.
I get it.
Awesome. Kids, take it from Jen and Ben. Drop out of college. No, but if you need to, like if you're doing things for the wrong reasons, if it's detrimental to your mental health, like absolutely. Huge. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Youth sports. You coach youth sports?
I do.
Look at that smile on your face. You coach okay, talk to me.
Well, I did try soccer. I wasn't even good at soccer. I spent most of my soccer time. I should actually plug this. I played for a Washington Trust soccer team as a child, and I found those pictures not that long ago where I was like, wow, this is like a prophecy coming out. But I liked playing on the sidelines with Barbies during soccer much more than actually playing. So turns out I was not good at coaching that, and neither were the 4 or 5-year-olds that I was in charge of. But moving on to softball, I played softball through high school. So definitely know the rules. It's a passion. And it's been 4 years now that my nieces have been playing, and moved on to we're up in 8U, and I'm also coaching travel ball. So very competitive. We actually had our first game this past weekend, and we did get crushed by a team called the Crush. So we're going to get better. But yeah, I love it. I love seeing young girls just find their voice and be able to be passionate about what they're doing. Get outside, exercise, play on a team together, win and lose, and practice good sportsmanship.
I love these 50 under 50s. I keep saying my favorite 50 under 50s are when people I don't know come in, because I just get so excited to get to know them, and this has been that in spades. How did you meet Andrea?
Oh, so Andrea's actually my high school sweetheart.
Aww.
We've been together for 16 years. So,
oh my God.
So through high school, she was actually dating my best friend, who's still my best friend. That's high school romance for you.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, since good old 2009, 16 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Been married for 12. It'll be 12 years this year.
That's congratulations. That's awesome. Man, I am older than you, and yet I am like, I want to be you when I grow up.
That was so sweet. Thank you.
You're fantastic. This is, I love it. And obviously you talked about playing a joyful role in the lives of your nieces and nephews. That's got to be a lot of fun.
It's so fun. You mentioned, my sister-in-law, Courtney. So her and my brother have 3. And then I have 2 cousins that I'm very close to that each have 2. So those are my core 7, if you will, that I spend the most time with, 2 of which are on my softball teams. My brother's 3 don't quite have the athletic talent. I'd probably have to cut them from the team, but I love them from the sidelines. Now that we've been here a few years, we're getting really aggressive in those sports. Yeah, I do this thing called Cousin Camp. This was our 2nd year over spring break. So I get all of them together.
Oh my God.
I did bring adults with us, but we went to the Boston Museum of Science, and then I had them on Tuesday and Friday of the same week. And I remember that from when I was little. I'm one of 13 cousins. So we all used to get together and just play around and have fun. And it was kind of when you could go play in the backyard and there wasn't parents always standing over you. So
Yeah.
I actually don't invite parents to cousin camp because they get involved and they want to break up fights. And I just love seeing
Parents
them
always
play.
want to break up fights.
I know, like let them yell it out a little bit.
Yeah.
It's good for them. Yeah, we just do crazy stuff, crafts, and it makes my heart happy. People say like, oh, you took vacation to go watch other people's kids, but they love it. And they actually asked it to go on for
Longer.
this second. Oh yeah. And they're like, so when's the next cousin camp? I'm like, I need another vacation first. But yeah, it's the joy of my life.
Wow. That's listen, I don't want to play favorites here, but this might be my favorite interview cold that I've had of yeah, wow. It was fantastic. You are an officiant for weddings?
Yeah. I haven't actually sat down and counted, but I think it's close to 20. Now.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh
For a
God.
lot of people at the bank.
Wow.
So
how did that happen?
I became an officiant online, Universal Life Church. I'm not even religious myself, but I did it. So my cousins will have been married 11 years, maybe this coming fall. So it's been, yeah. And then once you're ordained, then people find other things for you to do. Right. And I actually don't really like weddings themselves, but I love the idea of marriage and that ceremony and just people getting together that you love all in one place and 2 people publicly, stating they want to be together forever. That part to me is so magical and important. I love that people ask me to be part of that for their eternal story.
That is awesome. I have officiated one wedding.
Oh.
And it was in Connecticut. And in Connecticut, you, at least at the time, you can't get like an online certification for that. Mm-hmm. So there had to be a justice of the peace there. So I was the wedding officiant, but I couldn't actually pronounce them man and wife. So I did this thing where I did the whole ceremony and the justice of the peace stood next to me. And at the end I said, and because there is absolutely no power vested in me by the state of Connecticut, I now present this person. And then she came over and was like, I now pronounce you husband and wife. And then I was like, thank you. And I pushed her aside. And but anyway, that's incredible. Okay, so you donate blood.
I do. I've done whole blood, double red, and platelets at this point.
What's double red?
Double red, this is my lack of medical background because college dropout at this point. Yeah. But it's basically a double donation where they're putting the plasma back so they can actually take more at one time versus, so instead of the standard 8-week time period in between, it's actually 16 because they're taking double the amount.
And wow. Okay, so obviously you have proven for the last 30 minutes why you were a perfect choice for 50 under 50. What did it mean to you? What did you think when you saw that you had been chosen as one of the 50 under 50?
What did it mean? I was confused at first. Felt undeserving. I've watched some of the other interviews, and when I think of it, it's like people that are starting businesses and they're, working hands-on in the local community. And I guess I never see, when you're just in it day to day, you don't feel like it's making that kind of impact or difference. And then you look at it, you zoom out, like right now, it just feels incredible to be among a list of people that are doing the things that I admire.
Yeah, that's incredible. You absolutely are deserving of this. You have volunteer in so many different directions, being a youth sports coach, being on the board of the various nonprofits, helping kids to read, helping helping with the domestic violence the domestic violence resource center, um, everything, the cousin camp. That's so cool. That's so cool. Like, Jen, you are one of the coolest people I've met in a really long time.
Oh, thank you.
This has been fantastic. Anything you want to plug before we go?
Oh, I wish I had thought about that ahead of time. I'll go back to challenging, not a specific item, but just challenging yourself to ask why not, or why. Why is something the way that it is? How can you make an impact? How can you make a difference? And remembering that there's always, like, make room for yourself. If you don't see a spot somewhere, make the space for you, because the world's really big and someone's going to be lucky to have you there.
I'm going to hand you this mic so you can drop it. I am such a huge fan of you. After I did not know who you were before you walked in the door. Again, as soon as I saw your face and your last name, I went, okay, I'm sure that I know you. I know your family at least. But I am such a huge fan of you after this interview. Wow. You are an outstanding person, Jen, and this is so well deserved. I love it. I love interviewing the people that I don't know on this list, because you can clearly see all of the reasons why they're so deserving. And this has been fantastic. Thank you so much, Jen Ansay, 50 Under 50 honoree.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Valenti Family of Dealerships. And it's weird for me to say thank you to 321 Media, because that's just me. But thank you everybody for watching. Thank you to Jen. Thank you to the Ocean Community Chamber of Commerce. And we'll be back next time with more 50 Under 50. Bye for now.